that. Meantime, hundreds of coal plants, just like that one in Michigan, have closed in the past 20 years. But don't tell that to China, because they operate over 1,000 of them. America shut down while China was powering up. And Kelly makes a really important point, not only with coal plants, but also with nuclear. We need all kinds of energy, Chris, to be able to fuel our future. And once you shut the plants down, they are very expensive. And in some cases with nuclear, at one point they were saying you can't fire them back up. Now they've found ways to do that. But it seems like such a waste of resources, pardon the pun, to close these plants and then bring them back. We need to find a way to have sustainable energy in this country. And Trump is trying to do that.
Yeah, I mean, the overall infrastructure in the United States is in hospice, particularly energy. Most of the components of our infrastructure date back to the mid 20th century. I mean, it's pretty bad. And around energy, all while demand is just absolutely skyrocketing, right? We talked about data centers and crypto mining. You've got, electric vehicles surging, and coal, I think, today contributes about 16% of energy production in the United States, down from about 50% at the turn of the century. We need an all-hands-on-deck approach, when it comes to energy production. My home state of Texas, in 2021, we had a freeze that impacted the state, shut down the energy grid completely. It cost the state upwards of $300 billion in losses. And now, today, the energy demand in that state alone, just given the influx of businesses and population growth, the demand for energy is more than double what it was at that point. It's absolutely incredible. It's why we are extremely interested in the infrastructure development in Texas and throughout the country around power and water and transportation and logistics, all of the infrastructure. But in energy, it's things like continuous power, backup power generation, really everything around it. And not just the installation of that equipment, but also the servicing of that equipment, right? This gets people to work. This gets the infrastructure moving. That's where the economy is built. That's where our security and prosperity is developed.
Yesterday, Brian, I thought of you because when Trump was signing the executive order, like on Liberation Day, when Pennebecker came out and made his comments, he had a lot of coal miners behind him there that were enthusiastic and excited about this revival.
I'm excited about it, too. One reason is because we have a president who lives in reality now. He understands our power needs. He understands that coal can help with that, which is important. Every single year, the IEA does an estimate of coal needs around the world. And guess what happens every year?
Does it fall?
They're low.
Yeah.
Because we hit new records because the world needs power. Thank you, Mr. President, for recognizing that. But here's the crazy thing. We had the 4 years of the Biden green scam thing. And we spent all this money and time on renewables, fine. The one thing they didn't do was spend time really investing in the alternatives to coal, like nuclear and natural gas, which means 4 years later, we actually need more coal, thanks to Biden, because they didn't spend our money and our time wisely on energy. So if you want to thank anybody for the resurgence of coal, you can in part thank Biden for forgetting about our energy needs for 4 years and forcing this on us. Thank goodness Trump's not going to do that.
And one of the bright spots, Taylor, is crude oil. Sub 60.
Unbelievable. Sub 57 on WTI. You're down 3.7% on the day, 56.92 on my computer, but 57.42 on your screen. My computer might be delayed. Brent, Jackie, is $60 a barrel as well. So really interesting. Some of the lowest levels that we haven't seen since COVID. I don't love this if it's a demand story. I do like it if it's because OPEC is coming out and increasing production and it's more of a supply story. The good news as well is a lot of our oil producers have gotten so efficient that their break-evens are still around $40, $50 a barrel. So as long as you're above that range, you will still have people coming online to drill. But any much lower than that, then you do wonder about the economics. If it economically doesn't make sense for an Exxon, a Chevron, you know this better than I would, to be drilling. So again, we're sort of at that sweet spot where prices are good and they're low for consumers, but don't want to get too low where then you have to start seeing a pullback on production.
And at a time that we talk about alienation potentially of our allies because of some of these trade deals going on, the Saudis, I think, raising production was a move in solidarity with President Trump, knowing what his objective is to say, we're going to put a little extra out there.
But Saudi Arabia has also announced price cuts for its crude in Asia because they're trying to take market share in that part of the world. In addition, Goldman has a call out seeing oil or Brent, not our West Texas Intermediate, but Brent crude below $40 a barrel as an extreme outcome next year if the trade war doesn't get resolved.
Yeah, that would not be good.